morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Jan Fortman with Relationship Matters TV. I'm glad to see all of you here this evening. We have a jam-packed show full of value. So I want to get to it really quickly. So, usually I start and I'm on my soapbox about COVID. But I have stepped all the way off that particular soapbox. But I do want to ask a question. Have you ever heard of what happens when Mercury is in retrograde? Well, I think it means that whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and you have to really be careful. So let me say what has happened since Mercury has been in retrograde. Well, first, my husband's transmission went out, number one. Number two, my son, someone hit him. He was turning the corner, and someone ran a red light and hit him. Number three, my husband and I were backing up out of a parking lot, and what happens? Someone backs up into us. That's number three. Number four, our refrigerator is out. It's been out, and we were informed that they couldn't get a part, and so now we have to wait until they can get a part. So what happens? They come back, they can't find the part, so now we have to get a new refrigerator. Mercury is in retrograde, so be careful out there. Okay, now I just had to get that off of my chest because I thought, what the heck is going on? And then I read it, and then I thought, yeah, Mercury's in retrograde. So be careful out there. Watch everything, especially they say your electronics or anything like that. Well, that's it. Now, let me say about what's going to happen in the show this evening. First of all, I'm going to give you a little hint. I have with me this evening Denise Garrett. Denise Garrett is on a mission to help people overcome what she calls the not good enough syndrome. I know we all have been there. She has discovered what really causes people to feel like they aren't good enough. And because so many of us struggle with that feeling, that like we're not good enough for whatever, she has developed a systematic approach that helps people overcome feelings of inadequacy and supercharge their self-confidence. I think we all need that. I do. Even in the midst of challenging situations like a divorce or a breakup of a relationship, a job loss, illness, injury, and being criticized for being different. So I want to get right to it and bring Denise on. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Dr. Jan. How are you this evening?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, and I am so sorry to hear about Mercury messing with your jam.
So you've heard of Mercury when Mercury is in retrograde.
I have heard of it, yes. They
Well,
say
guess what?
really communication tends to go to like snafus happen a lot during this time, is what I've been told.
Yeah, well, communication and everything. So,
Yeah.
so you can see what's happening. So I thought, do we need to just be in the house and don't go anywhere? But anyway, forget that. These are going to get better. I am
Yeah.
so happy to have you on the show for this conversation this evening because when I saw that not good enough syndrome, and I thought, how many times have I been there where I felt that I wasn't good enough? So, what I want to ask you is why did you decide to focus on this?
So the first part of it is I struggled with it myself for many, many years, and it still sneaks in sometimes. But then, having been a therapist and a coach for a while, I noticed that a lot of people struggle with it. It's almost like it's the human condition. Some lucky souls go through life full of confidence and thriving, and they don't have any concerns about looking good or anything like that. And sometimes narcissistic people do that too. But for most people, in my experience, they struggle with that at some point in their life. Now, it's like as a novice firefighter, I felt like, I've got to up my game because I'm new at this, right? So I didn't feel like I measured up to the guys that had been on duty like 20 years, right? But I had the hope and the confidence that if I kept at it, I would learn and grow. So there's a difference though when that not good enough gets deep down in your soul. It like robs people from even trying to do things that they really want to do. And that's what I really would love to eradicate in the world, because we've got really good people out there, Dr. Jan, that can do amazing work, and they're scared to do it because they have that little conversation in their head saying, I don't know, I'm not good enough, or some version of that. It may be like, I don't look pretty enough. I don't have the clothes. I don't have the car. I don't have the house. I don't have the education, the Ivy League education. It could be, but all that's kind of that not good enough stuff. Have you ever experienced anything like that in your life?
Plenty of time. Plenty of time. And you know what? It's all about the relationship we have with ourselves
Yeah.
and that negative self talk we have in our heads. And yes, definitely I felt like that in my professional life and in my personal life. Like, oh, um, I don't think I should try that because I'm really not good enough for that. And also what people tell you. So, just not to get off track, but a little story that I'd like to just share with you and tell me about this. When I was in college, I had to take speech 101, and that was one of the requirements. And my professor said to me, you want to be a teacher, but really, you're not good enough to be a teacher. You should go into a different kind of career. And it really hit me in here. And I went home and told my mother what he said. And she said, oh, no, no, no. You are good enough. So it's it comes from outside and it can come from inside. So what do you think is worse? You know, what is worse? What do you see that it comes from mostly? Is it inside or outside?
Well, I think a lot of times it starts when we're kids. Like something happened in our world somewhere, probably between the ages of like, I don't know, 4 years old and 12 years old, roughly. And we made up that about ourselves, whatever the event was. It could have been, in my case, like my parents fought a lot and I couldn't fix it. I couldn't make them happy, and I thought there was something wrong with me, and I wasn't good enough to make them stop fighting. So it kind of started that. They didn't say that to me. They just, they did that, and I had the kid thinking, and I thought, oh, there must be something wrong with me. That's why they're always fighting. So sometimes, though, people can stick you with a label that cuts deep. And so, like when your teacher said, you may as well give up being a teacher, you're not made for that. I mean, that can cut deep, especially if you respected your teacher. I mean, that hurts even worse. But the problem is whether it comes from outside or inside, once we become an adult, it's that conversation that's playing in our head over and over that's causing us the problems. Because the past is in the past. What that teacher said was however many years ago. And you've gone on to shine and prove that teacher absolutely wrong. And sometimes you can do that. You can use those negatives as fuel for your growth. But sometimes they cut deep enough to where we don't try anymore. And that's the stuff I really want to eradicate in the world, if you will. So I know I didn't quite answer the question because it's a both and. They both hurt, but the thing that keeps it alive in us is the conversation in our head.
Right. How do we get that out of our heads? I mean, even now, sometimes, I'll get in a situation and or a challenge or something, and what'll hold me back is, I don't think I'm good enough for that. How do I get over it? I mean, how, not all the time, but just every now and then, and it'll keep you really from a lot of people from moving forward. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. So what happens is our fear gets engaged. We're worried about what other people are going to think of us. We're worried about failure. We're worried about looking foolish. We're worried about being ridiculed. Like we have all this stuff. And the key is, like, I had a coach who basically said this, and I thought it was one of the best things I've ever learned in my life. He said, if you're worried about people judging you, stop. They are.
I like.
Human beings are judging and voting machines. It's kind of like in our wiring. And that made sense to me. It's like, do I like vanilla or chocolate ice cream? I have an immediate response to that. Do I want to go to this restaurant or that restaurant? I have an immediate, that's a judgment, right? When I look at people sometimes, I'm pretty open minded and open hearted, but sometimes I see people and I have a judgment. The difference for me is I catch it if it's not a flattering one, and I shift. And I just say, Denise, you're capable of showing more love and compassion than that. Come on, you can do better.
What
You
caused
know?
you to shift, though? Really?
What causes me to shift?
Like, what caused you to shift? And I think people really want to know that. What, what, how can we shift?
So the thing that's helped me the most is having a vision that's far bigger than me that I'm playing for in life. And it'll make me do things that I really don't want to do. I might be scared, my knees might be knocking, but because I'm committed to that vision, I keep taking my steps and I keep working through my fear. And that doesn't mean that I like, I did run into burning buildings, but I used to tell people I'd rather run into a burning building with no protective gear than do a public speaking. Um, and at some point in my career, I realized public speaking was a big part of what I needed to do. And I was like, well, I have to handle this fear. Like, I don't think we can ever get rid of fear, but we can manage it. So I decided to go to Toastmasters because
Oh,
they teach you how to speak. And so I did Toastmasters, and that got me so far ahead, And then I thought the best way to get over this is at work. Anytime they ask for a volunteer to speak, I'm going to raise my hand. So I made myself do that. That was like a little challenge I gave me, and I did it. And yes, I was uncomfortable, but I did it and I did it and I did it. And now it's not as big of a deal. But sometimes I still get nervous. But nervous is just a form of excitement. It's on the same continuum. But the real truth to get over it is you're playing for something so much bigger than you. It's like, what is your gift to give the world? What's your message? And I promise you, like you could say, I say this sometimes, coaches are a dime a dozen now. There's like a million of them in the world. But each one can reach someone that the others can't. Each one. Because they have a way of saying something, seeing things that's so different than anyone else that they can reach people the others can't. And so for me, I think at some point I just realized like my vision is far more important. This like this calling, if you will, that's in my heart. It's you know it's what it's worth dying for. It truly is. Like if I had my way, we would get completely have everyone managing their fear. And I believe if we did that, we would have a world full of people laughing and playing and prospering. I don't think we would have people homeless and starving and having to walk miles and miles for water and all sorts of things. I just see like this kind of like heaven on earth, if you will, vision. And that's what keeps me going.
Wow, that's wonderful. I didn't know you were a Toastmaster.
I, yeah.
Oh, okay. So am I. Wait. I'm a DTM.
Oh, well, I didn't go very far in it. I decided that work was the better practice because,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you were a firefighter.
I was.
What made you decide to be a firefighter?
So when I
Well, you're talking about
graduated,
not good enough. Good grief.
from college, see, we human beings are complex. So I want to note that for everybody out there. If you're feeling not good enough in some things, you probably know that you excel in others, or at least you do well. Um, so for me, my family said, when you graduate from college, you go to work for a good company and you retire with the gold watch. So I did that. I went to work for a good company, and corporate America was not for me.
Okay.
It just wasn't. I had to raise my hand to go to the bathroom, for goodness sake. It's like I was in kindergarten. I did not like that. And so I was like, they paid me really well. I mean, I couldn't believe they paid me what they paid me to be a kid, basically. But I was not attached to the money. I was like, I want to enjoy my life. I want my life to be meaningful. And so I don't want to come home from work every day complaining about work. I want to come home talking about all the cool things that happen. And so I let friends know, I'm doing some soul searching and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I know corporate America is not it. And a friend that had played soccer with me had a roommate, and they invited the roommate to come to a pub we hung out at after games. And her friend started talking to me, and she said, so and so says you're looking for a new career path. And I said, yeah, I am. So we were just talking about what we had in common. Like we liked science, and we liked taking things apart and putting them back together. So we were kind of mechanically inclined, and we liked helping people, both of us. And so at some point in the conversation, she says, well, have you ever considered being a firefighter? And I said, no, you can die doing that.
Right.
And then I said, and besides, women don't do that. And she said, well, I'm a woman and I do that. And it's true, you can die doing it, but we're all going to die anyway someday. And so she backed off. She didn't push me or anything. But a couple of weeks later, I got on the phone with her and said, hey, I want to check this thing out. And then I just felt like that was it. Like I asked lots of questions, and I thought, I want to give this thing a shot. And I absolutely loved it. It's one of the best jobs ever, 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 ever.
So how long were you a firefighter?
Just over 5 years.
Okay.
And there was a lot of factors that led to me switching careers. But one of the big ones was I had knee surgery. And firefighting is a very physical job. So I was in, really great shape back then and a lot younger. But when I had knee surgery, I was like, can I do this job till I can retire? I mean, like physically, can I do it? And I just didn't know. And I didn't want to find myself in a place where I didn't have a means to make money and provide for myself and my family. So I decided, I need to have a backup plan with no intention of rushing to do anything. I was just exploring. But at the time, I did volunteer work at the Georgia Council on Child Abuse. And that I answered a hotline basically, and people that were in crisis would ask for help or questions or guidance, and I would do my thing. And the supervisors there said, hey, you're really good at this. Have you ever thought about becoming a therapist or a counselor? And I was like, no, not really. I love the fire department, but it would be a way that I could I mean, you sit when you do that job, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking I can surely sit till I can retire. And so I just decided I would try to go for it. And then they warned me that when you apply to the programs, it'll probably take 3 to 5 years before you get in. I applied, and I think it was God's design. I got in the first go round, and was just like, okay, that's God's way of saying go for it. So I did.
Okay. So now I know you have you founded the Courageous Leadership Academy. But what I want to do is go back to go to that. What made you decide that you were going to, I guess, so to speak, have something where you could, reach more people? What made you decide to found Courageous Leadership Academy?
That's a great question.
And tell people what Courageous Leadership Academy is.
Okay. So I had a coach that was very dear to me. His name was Mike Smith, and he died. And his body of work, the work that he did with us, me and lots of other people, was incredibly valuable to me. But when he died, I realized that his work wasn't going to go on because he didn't set up his business in a way that really allowed for that. And I don't do everything Mike does. I'm not him, I'm me. I have my own style and my own thoughts. But I decided that I didn't want to be that person. I want to be the person that shares my gifts, my talents, the things I've learned from the hard knocks of life with people so that they don't have to go through the things that I went through, or that they can improve their even like their businesses, for example. Um, and as for what we do, it's a coaching company, personal development coaching company. And I focus on life transitions, which means for people that are going through, you might call it a crisis moment, but it could be like a divorce. It could be you just got diagnosed with cancer and you're just spinning out of control. It could be that you are going through a career change, whether that career change is by design, meaning you knew you were going to do it, but you're struggling, or you got fired, or I call it authentic self expression. So, for example, I happen to be gay. And in the world that I grew up in, my parents were Southern Baptist, and the church condemned gay people. And therefore, by default, I thought my parents would too. And I was scared to death to be me until I got out of the house and on my own 2 feet. And in the fire department, I was in the closet because I was their first and only female firefighter. And that was a tough gig. Um, but I was kind of scared to come out, and I felt like I had to win the female battle before going on with the gay thing. And so I realized after I left the department, I don't want to be in the closet anymore. I just want to be me. That's one aspect of who I am. I have a very generous heart. I'm can be smart in certain areas, and so I'm not going to let that run me. I'm just going to be me and share it. So really, I want to help people as much as I can avoid the periods in life where I myself have beaten the heck up out of myself, and I've seen my loved ones do it, and I've seen clients do it, and I just want to take that pain away and give people much more, like, the courage to go for what they really want, the courage to embrace their greatness, and the faith that they can do whatever it is they want to do.
Wow. So, what was it hard for you to, I guess the terminology is to come out and to your friends? Was that hard for you to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was with I was really worried about my parents,
Okay.
more than anything. And my father, God bless him, I thought he would have the worst time with it. He really didn't. My mom did though, and she had for years. And I think she would be on board with me, and then she would land a comment that just cut. Um, but she's come a long way, and I have an appreciation for, if your worldview is that somebody that you love might go to this awful place called hell, then obviously you don't want them to go to hell. So I do have an appreciation for that, and I see that someone
Yeah.
said they felt the same way.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's also, I think, for me too, like as a kid, you don't want to let your parents down. Like you want them to approve of you. You want their validation. And when you're that different, it's like, oh man, they're going to hate me, and I love them. I don't want to lose my family,
Right.
you
Right.
know. But that's not the only thing. Like I have friends who are trans and they're going through tough time. Um, I have friends who are scared to come out still, even though, but from the time I was a kid, like we've come so far. I
Mhm.
thought farther than I thought we might in my lifetime. But
Mhm.
it's not just about that. Like I worked with a guy who really wanted to be an artist. Like he was a painter and his paintings were beautiful, but he lived in a family full of lawyers. And he was scared to go to the family and say, "Hey, I'm a painter," because he just knew his family was going to reject him. So it's that kind of thing too. It's not just about being gay or trans or something like that. It's about anything that's authentically you that you're scared to share because you're worried about how other people are going to react or think of you, or maybe even what they might do to you.
Yes. Yes. So I know I read where your church, and you said your church condemned you, but are you still a part of a church or
Not that church, no.
not
Southern
that
Baptist.
church?
Yeah, that was a Southern Baptist church, and
Okay.
that the way they view God, even as a child, I just did not agree with that. I don't
Okay.
believe in an angry, wrathful, punishing God. And I think part of it was as a little kid, I was adventuresome. No surprise there, having been a firefighter. But I would get scraped and cut a lot out playing in the woods. And I noticed that as soon as I cut myself, a scab starts forming. That's how much God loves me.
Okay.
So God knew I was going to make mistakes and designed me with so much love that I start healing immediately. That's what my little kid brain made up. And I like it. I stick with that to this day. So I just think of God as this very loving presence. And I've had experiences in life that I can share about how that just got validated more and more and more.
Okay. So I want to take a quick break,
Yes.
and then we're going to come back because I want to hear that. And I read something where you said increase your relationship ROI. And I'm like, okay, I want to know what that means. So Denise, we're going to come right back. Okay. All right. So don't go away. We really, I'm getting so much value from this, and I know you are. So don't go away. We will be right back.
From right to left, and every angle in between. Know what I mean? In this day and age, so many seem like they're lost inside a world and held captive in a dream. A glimpse of mediocrity, take one for the team. And even though this path is long and this place is unforeseen, gotta keep your feet moving, filling spaces in between, seeing places in your dreams. If you complacent by your means, by all means go back to sleep. The path is steep, there's no rest for the weary. If you intend to reach peaks, it gets deep. Come on, it's infinite, we still climbing. Yes, yes, y'all. And thanks for the positive vibes, but I still Still got a mountain to climb, just take it one step at a time,
I'm gonna
yo.
fall till I fall, gonna ride till I die. I'll never give in, yo, if I wanna survive. Not gonna swallow my pride, I'll never give up, cause when it's all said and done, is what I've done enough. I push myself to the edge, I push myself to the brink. Is the toil all worth it? It makes me stop and think. But through the mud and the mire, the joy and the strife, no one can claim that I didn't live all of this beautiful life.
We are back with Denise Garrett. And Denise, someone came here, they came through here. Let me find a comment. And let's see, where is this? Wait a minute, I'm going to find it. Oh, here it is. They said they love the name of your Courageous Leadership Academy.
Thank you.
So I just I wanted you to see that comment. So we were talking. You were saying before we left how God has showed you some things.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us.
Let's see where to start. So many things. I could tell you one time we were fighting a fire that was in an abandoned house, and we knew.
Oops, hold on. Don't know what happened there.
The way that we normally approach the fire, I don't know really what happened. It was like something reached up and grabbed my boots and locked them to the floor. And I told my partner, who's yelling at me to get my butt in motion, only using more colorful language. I said I just couldn't move for a second. And it wasn't my mind telling me don't go. It was just literally my legs would not move. And then it's like I got this message that said, you can't go that way. You have to go this way instead. And as soon as I accepted that, my feet were free. And that's what I yelled back to him. And he said he didn't care how we did it. We just needed to get the fire out. So we put the fire out. And I said, when we got ready to back out to let the other people come in to do salvage and overhaul, I said, we got to go out the way we came in. And he was like, yeah, whatever. So we go out and it's still smoky. Anybody that's ever been in a fire, you really can't see your hand in front of your face. So we're out there swapping air bottles or pulling them off. And the other guys go in when the smoke clears a little, and then they come back and they're looking at me funny and they're talking. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do now? They're going to pick on me for something that if they do, it's okay. But if I do it, it's because I'm a female. And so I'm waiting for their crap. And then they go, I heard it must be women's intuition. And I'm like, what in the heck are they talking about? And so I was like, guys, what are you talking about? They were, how did you know that was in there? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And an arsonist had actually left a trap for us. And had we gone the way that we normally would go, my partner and I would have been severely injured, if not killed. And that for me was a total God moment. I don't know what stopped me other than something that really loves us, me and my partner. And we really, I don't know, I feel so blessed because we didn't get hurt. And that's one of many times where I have just had this divine presence, if you will, saved my butt.
Wow. That's wonderful. That's miraculous.
That's miraculous.
Yes, that is miraculous. Now, before we left for the break, I said something about what you said about increasing your relationship ROI. What did you mean by that? Explain that to us.
So, relationship ROI is your return on investment.
Okay.
And so, and this could go many ways. So, it depends on the relationship. But one of the things I noticed when I have some single friends is sometimes they focus on what they're going to get from their, when they find the right one, they're going to get the stuff and not on what they give. And the way to build a strong relationship is by giving without worrying about what comes back to you. Now, you obviously don't want to be the one doing all the giving and them not giving you anything back. So I'm not saying like totally ignore that, but I'm saying don't let what they give be the primary focus. It's got to be like a mutual thing. So that's one way. But really, in relationships, I think one of the best gifts we can give someone is our undivided attention and really listen to them. Like, really. Not like let our judgments go. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to solve it. Don't jump in. Don't interrupt. Just listen and listen deeply. And when we do that, we give people the space to, like me, sometimes like my best friend lets me vent. And I can say things to her that I don't really express anywhere else other than if I'm out in nature with me and God. But like I can, and she knows, like she's just my safe place to do that. I can just, and it's good to have that. There's such a deep love there that can handle that. And my sweeties learn to handle my little rah moments too. It's just a little harder. So I try to shield as much as I can from that. But the listening is key, especially in this digital technology age where we're all plugged into our phones and constantly checking our computers, or we're on Facebook or social media or whatever. And we're not really present for each other. And when we're present, we pick up on little things that we miss when we're checked out on those other areas. So that's one thing is just to increase your return on investment. Just listen generously and the undivided attention. And then the other thing is learn the person's love language. And there's a whole book about it, and I'm not going to go into the book. And
What is it called? I think I have it somewhere up in my library. What is it? The 5 love languages or the 7 love languages?
I think it's something like that. I haven't read it, but the concept, I've had enough people talk about it with me that I love the concept, because just because like maybe, I like candy doesn't mean that you like candy. You might like flowers, and just because you like flowers doesn't mean that John likes candy or flowers. John might like cards or tools or whatever. So I think when you really love someone and you want to express it, pay attention to their love language, like what really speaks to them. So for me, it's cards. Like I love cards. I have these sappy cards from family members from years ago and friends from years ago, and I keep them. And when I'm having like a really rough day, I pull out my box of cards and I start reading them, because they make me feel loved. They make me feel cared for. They remind me that I'm loved and everything's going to be okay. And so whatever your love language is too, share that with the people that matter to you in life, but not in a way where it's like, you better do this. It's more like in the spirit of spreading in the love and in both giving and receiving. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. And you're right about love languages. I've read the book and probably need to read it again. But you're right, because people do have different ways they express love.
Right.
And it is good to know your partner's love language. And you're right. I think I'm going to read that again. And just for people who Renita Dixon says it's the the name of the book, Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Right. So, and then someone else, what is it? Who is this? Shelby Dog, 321. You must know who that is.
I do.
Okay. Say hi, Shelby. Yeah. So that's just the thing, you know. So now with your Courageous Leadership Academy, you focus on that. You focus. Okay. I hear Courageous Leadership Academy, and what exactly is behind that name? I can
So,
hear courageous. So where does the leadership come in?
well, we're all the leader of our own life. So, and a lot of people don't feel like they're a leader, but the truth is, you are the leader in your life. You're responsible for where you take yourself and where you hold yourself back. You're responsible for getting the help that you need. And I'm not saying that like in a you should, I'm not shooting on people, but it's about once we embrace the idea that I'm responsible for my life and my well being and my happiness, and then I play for that full out. That means that sometimes I have to have difficult conversations with people. Sometimes that means that I need to show more love to certain people if I want to keep them around and and grow that connection or deepen it. So I say we're all leaders, especially in our own life. And even though you may not be in an official leadership role, I guarantee you in some area of your life you're a leader in what we might call an untraditional way. And I think back to the spiritual center I went to for a number of years, and we had people that, I mean, I'm thinking of one, her name was Maddie, and she was the usher, and she had a beautiful way of making anybody feel comfortable when they went to be seated in the auditorium. It was just a beautiful way. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. She was amazing to me. I loved watching her do it because it was just like that's what she was made for. And that's an unofficial role, or unofficial leader role, a non-traditional role, but she was so good at it, and I guarantee you people came back because of her, and they kept coming back because of her.
Okay.
So the leadership part is that, and I think if you really want to achieve whatever it is that's important to you in life, you have to develop some leadership skills to get there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have a question that came in here for my text. How can you attain courage?
It's a great question. The the best way is to face your fear. It's not comfortable. It's not going to be comfortable, but face the fear. And so for me, like think back to when I shared about public speaking, like I was terrified, but I decided that I need to do this. And so for me to get where I want to go, I've got to figure this thing out. So I started with Toastmasters, and then I graduated to, the career, the work field, and just volunteered to speak and speak and speak until I got more comfortable with it. And I still know there's lots of room for improvement on my skill set. And I'm open to that. I'm open to getting it because I want to get the best me I can get. And so with anything, when you're in fear, the best thing you can do is face it, because here's what I've learned. 99% of the time, what we make up in our heads about how awful it's going to be, it's not that awful.
Okay.
It's not. We make up these huge stories about, like me, when I was worried about my parents finding out I was gay. I thought it was just going to be, they were going to disown me and all this horrible, horrible stuff. And I'm not saying it wasn't rough on our family for a while, but it wasn't near as bad as what I had made up in my mind. My imagination went wild in a very negative way.
Okay.
So
Okay.
courage is that. And another thing, it always helps in life to have what some might call a partner in crime, or to have a teammate, a buddy, a partner. So if you have someone in your life that you feel safe with, comfortable with, let them help you get through it. Firefighters don't fight fires alone. We go in as a team. When you have a spouse, or a partner or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you're a team. And you need team. We go so much further when we with each other than we do when we're alone. So that's another way to get courage. I love I would love to meet the gentleman whose book you had on the commercial, the guy, the veteran,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
because I mean, he got it. He had to fight battles with his buddies, with his, his comrades. So get support. Like, don't try to do it all on your own. Those are a couple of quick ways that come up with. But the biggest one, honestly, is face your fear.
Face your fears. All
Face
right.
it.
Face your fears. I'm going to face my fear. I'm
And
going to talk to my friend who's definitely afraid of spiders. And so I would tell, like face that fear. But I wanted to
well,
go.
part
Uh,
of it is developing a new conversation in your head. So it's like this, like, I don't like spiders, but like, I don't think I'm going to die from most of them. So I can look at the spider and go, I really don't like you. You're not welcome in my home and you're going to get out of my house. So, you know, um, I'm clear, like, you're going to get out of my house. But it's really like the horrible, horrible things we make up. Like, oh my God, the spider's
exactly.
going to bite me, and then I'm going to swell up, and then I'm going to go to the hospital, and then this, and then this, and then this. It's like, stop that, shut that down, and just look at it's a spider. You're bigger than the spider,
Yeah, I have to tell
you
her
know.
that.
So
Uh,
start.
I just wanted to get this in because Sandy Barney Ennis said, Teddy Pendergrass said, when love is returned, it feels so good. She says, I agree. He goes on to say, not 70-40, but 50-50. I personally don't believe it's possible because someone in every relationship I've been in always tips the scale. Of course, we love it when your someone special gives more and tips the scale in your favor. Do you agree?
It's nice to be loved. Yes, I agree. And I just know from the long haul perspective, if there's not some kind of balance in there, bitterness will arise and it will hurt the relationship. So I've heard those ratios too. I think we should come in 100-100. We're both whole and complete people, and we both need to give it all we've got. And now here's the thing though. Sometimes my best is not as good as my sweetie's. So I'm down here, she's up here. And then sometimes we reverse. And then sometimes we're kind of in this motion, right? But it's like as long as it balances out over the long haul, and there's no resentment, no bitterness, that's what you're going for. You always want to bring in your best and understand that we're human and some days we're not our best. I mean, that happens. And have as much love and compassion for the other person as you can in those moments.
Okay, this last question here that came in. What can you do if you have lost all of your buddies, all of your friends,
You've lost all of them.
all of them? Says all of your buddies. Oops, something fell.
The first thing I would say is I'm sorry for your grief, because that's a big loss. So I'm just going to give you a little love energy right now.
Okay.
The next thing I'll say is if you truly lost them, and I don't know how you lost them. So I'm not thinking this is like a war and you lost them in battle, because that would be a different answer. But in life, like if it's not some kind of situation like that, they weren't your people. They weren't your people. You haven't found your people yet, because your people stick with you
I think he lost them through death.
through death. Well, that's a different answer then. So the first thing you got to do is really give yourself space to grieve. It's a process. And I know in my past, I tried to avoid that because I have a thing. I didn't want to cry in public. I didn't want it. So I lost someone dear to me, and I was tearing up at work, and it was very uncomfortable for me. And I talked to a buddy of mine who had lost his wife, and he's just a great man. His name is Mitch. And he said, you got to let yourself grieve. You got to feel it fully in a safe place. So yes, you don't want to cry when you're giving a presentation to the bigwigs, at work. But surely when you feel it coming up, there are going to be times when you can go to the bathroom and take 5 to 10 minutes and just let yourself cry and then put yourself back together and go there. And I said, well, I don't want people to know. And he said, well, he says, those ladies go in the bathroom a lot longer than you do. Don't worry about it, but really feel your grief. And, I decided to do that. And it's not that the goal was to move through it faster, but what I can say is the healing happened much faster than I think it would have otherwise. So feel your grief, know that you're grieving, acknowledge it. The other thing is, if you have anyone you can reach out to for support, reach out. Get some love coming your way.
Okay.
I mean, it could be a pastor, it could be a counselor, it could be somebody like me, it could be, I don't know, a friendly person at the grocery store you go to all the time. It could be anybody that you have a good vibe from. But get some love coming your way, because when you lose a lot of people back to back to back, I mean, I wish I could wave a wand and make the pain go away, but I don't have that power yet. I'm working on it. But I think there's a reason we grieve, and it just represents how much we loved.
Okay.
So if you can, try to remember to celebrate the love. But I feel you. I feel you.
Okay. All right. So now, if people want to get in contact with Courageous Leadership Academy, so how do they reach you? I have it on here though.
So you can go to my website, courageousleadershipacademy.com.
Wait a minute, let me fix this, because hold on, because I have to fix this. So it's courageousleadershipacademy.com.
Correct.
Is that correct? All right, I just want to make sure. Okay, there we go. Okay.
So you can go to the website, and depending on what's happening in your world, if you go to our services, you can actually, to that page, you can actually schedule a 30-minute consultation with me if you want to just chat and see if I might be of help or if I can steer you in the right direction. I'm happy to do that as well. So don't be shy. And you can also reach out to me at contact@courageousleadershipacademy.com. contact@courageousleadershipacademy.com. That's my email. And, ask me your questions. I'm happy to correspond with you. I would say call, but sometimes I'm in session, or I might be in doing something like this. And so it's usually not the most efficient way to reach me. But I'm working on changing that soon. And of course, I'll keep it posted on the website when I am able to make some changes. But if you want to email me directly, contact@courageousleadershipacademy.com. And if you just want to schedule one of those like 30-minute chat things, go to our services page on my website, and you'll see where you can schedule some time. It doesn't, there's some program specific. It can be you just want to chat. And when you schedule, just if you can, let me know that, and that's fine.
Okay, that's great. We have maybe 5, but actually we have 3 minutes left. So what would you like to leave the audience with? What would you like to leave them with?
Well, whoever you are, whatever you're going through, things can always get better. And you're far greater than any of your fears. You truly are. And, there's a saying, and I'm not a religious person, but you can have the faith as tiny as a mustard seed. And I've seen one, they're very tiny. You can conquer mountains with that. So it doesn't take a lot of faith. And I have faith in you. I have faith because I believe that every single one of us is precious. Every single one of us has something unique and special to give. And I just encourage you to let yourself shine, let yourself blossom, share your gifts, and get the support you need to overcome any fear or anything that's holding you back. And let that light shine.
All right. And remember, you are good enough.
You are more than good enough.
You're more than good enough. Wait a minute. Things keep dropping. All right.
It's that Mercury thing.
Thank you so much, Denise, for really enlightening us and really giving us so much value. And you know what? I'm going to put something like right in front of me, and it's going to say, "You're good enough."
You're more than good enough. You
Yeah,
were you were made
I'm
from
more than
divine stuff. You were made from divine stuff. You're more than good
yes,
enough. So
yes, yes.
switch that conversation in your head.
Thank you so much, Denise. That
Thank you, Dr. Jan.
I really appreciate it. I have to have you back
Oh,
because
I would
you know
love
what?
to.
Yeah, because we have more to talk about.
We
And
do.
who was this up here that said he wants you on his show? I thought, you're not going to steal her from me. Would love to have Denise on bathrobe moments.
Well,
I'll think about it. But of course, because your message is so valuable, and I really appreciate you coming. I really do.
Dr. Jan, I want to thank you and all your audience for this opportunity to be here. And for you, dear, I so love your energy. I so love your presence and your grace. And I love your show. I love what you're up to. So, know that I'm cheering for you all the time. And of course, if there's anything I can do to support you, just let me know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Denise. All righty. Bye bye. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye bye. Wow. This was so great. And I am going to look out there. Whenever you start thinking, I'm not really good enough for that, you know what? Do what I do. I'm going to make a meme or a sign, and I'm going to put it right in front of me. And it's going to say, you are more than good enough. So I want to thank all of you for watching. And I know that you got a lot of value from this. So next Thursday, you know, I had a journey to be a queen. Well, I am a queen. I am Miss Senior Illinois. But next Thursday, I'm going to have some of the contestants that I met in the Miss Senior America contest. Hopefully, I can have the one who won it. But I want you all to tune in and watch, because these are women who are 65 and over, and they all said, oh yes, I am more than good enough. So I will see you all again next Thursday. Remember, there are all kinds of relationships, and all kinds of relationship matters, and relationships do matter. All righty. See you next week. Bye-bye.